Well, the reason I'm making this video tonight, everybody's gonna think I'm flat out crazy. A little bit of background, psychic. I get pictures shown to me, and I decipher them just like hieroglyphics. And it's when you don't use your own will, and I'm shown various things all day long. And I'm gonna start with an experience I had last year around Halloween. I was walking through the graveyard with my cousin, and I seen what I thought to be a cat, and it ran behind a tombstone. So I walked over to the tombstone. I looked. There was nothing there. Nothing there. The tombstone that I looked at just happened to have my last name on it, and that's one of the moments where you just stand back for a minute, just think about it. So I told my cousin, and said, I definitely seen something run over here, and there's apparently nothing here. Nothing ran away from that spot. I don't know what it was that led me there, but the tombstone definitely had my name on it. And so moving forward, I've had multiple visions, and I think two that are relevant. I'm going to explain real quickly. Last year I had a vision that from the beginning, I was up at my stepfather's mother's house, and we were looking up in the sky, and we were looking down over this bank. There was a pond and everything, and as we're looking down over the bank, I seen a whirlwind come spinning up, and it went right close to me, and I think it picked me up, and I was levitating off the ground. That's all I can explain. And I looked up into the sky, and it looked like it was fireworks going off in the sky. As I was watching the fireworks, they faded and turned into alien ships, UFOs, fleets of them, just covering the sky, flying overhead. And I looked through to the other side of her house, and there was a house that shouldn't have been there. It was the judge's house for some reason. And the judge had this little girl who came over to me and started speaking to me and said, it's gonna fall somewhere out in the west, and coming from towards Philadelphia. So basically I was given a trajectory, and as I stood there, I heard a real loud burn. That was the noise. I've never heard anything like it. Burn. Now that I thought about it, the other day I was telling somebody this, and I thought about the noise, and it sounded like a trumpet. Plain and simple. It was a trumpet. It went burn, and this big giant white snake split the entire vision in half from where I was to the little girl was. And it was a big, inflatable snake. It wasn't a real snake. It was a big white inflatable, or it looked like inflatable. It was just this big. It looked like a bumper lane in a bowling alley, but it was kind of turning, and it was a big snake. That's what I got the impression of anyway. And as that happened, I looked up again because I heard this noise. And as I looked up, I seen this comet coming screaming in. And I was deathly afraid. And as I'm watching it come, I start to panic. Oh my God, it's going to hit. And as I'm watching it, and it got closer and closer, it turned into a ball that was lights all the way around it. Just lights. One light all the way around it. And it was like this illuminated ball. And also, as I remember looking up through the trees on the opposite side of her house, and it was where the snake had been, had disappeared, and it was now clearing through the woods. And I remember seeing military men in green and camel or something. I just remember seeing their silhouettes with the helmets and everything down the path with big mortar cannons, military stuff. But it was clearing straight through the woods. And first we got me, my stepfather, pretty sure it was my wife, and my child. And I didn't have the child when I had this. My child just turned a year old yesterday, or July 1st. And I didn't have a child when I had this dream. So my child now is in it. Phoenix, his name is. And Phoenix and me and her get in the car and we drive up over this hill. The top of this hill is called Mile Hill because it's a mile to the bottom or to the top. And as we're driving up over, like, where you could just start to see over the top of the hill, seeing down into the valley part, there was these power lines that went through. These power lines were shaped like a V, and they were big, sturdy power lines. And they had some type of thing on them that, like, converted electricity out of the atmosphere or something and put it into the lines and powered them, like some type of futuristic thing, I guess. And there was UFOs just flying all over the place, And I remember we were, driving down the hill and I guess waiting for the comet to hit. I just remember being deathly afraid of this comet, and it turned into a ball of lights, and then the hit never took place, which was odd. But regardless, I'm going to take the important fact is that the trajectory is from Philadelphia to the west. So that means if it hits somewhere in the west coming from the Philadelphia way, that means it's going to hit at an angle and throw everything towards China. And it's going to wrap around the earth and we're going to get the least effect from it on the east coast. I live in Pennsylvania, so in the Pennsylvania mountains, and the east coast is going to be wiped away. But I believe that this is one of the only safe areas that there is. And that's why, Virginia, they have, president, they have these underground bases in Virginia, all over through here. There's so much military activity here, it's not fun. But regardless, the next one I had, I was with my fiance again, and we were at her mother's house this time. And we were standing there, and I just remember people saying, 0 point gravity's coming, 0 point gravity's coming. And as I'm standing there again, I look overhead and I see this camper just floating through the air. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, it's moving towards us in the same way the horizon does with the sun, the shadow. And we were trying to stay in front of it. And we got in the car and started driving. And there was a stream on the right-hand side and a big mountain. And we were going up this dirt road, up around this mountain, up around the stream, and as we were going, the 0 point gravity or whatever hit us, and the car veered off into the stream, and I was again bracing for the impact, and it never came. Instead, I remember putting my shoulder down like this, and just flying at the speed of light through some type of tunnel or passage. I was just flying through space and time or whatever. And I remember I was just waiting for the impact, bracing for the impact, waiting for the impact. I was moving so fast and I was scared that I was going to hit something. I was just waiting to hit something, and I was bracing for it with everything in my body. And then I just stopped at this place that was three-dimensional, or not, 2D, or whatever, a flatlander type scenario. And it was a TV screen. And on it, there was this being that had a white suit on with a red insignia, I believe, and it had a tail. And I was there with it, and I was like Mega Man or something, and but it was like, I believe, trying to show me, what's possible, like with our light bodies or something, or when the ascension takes place or something. I don't know, but so this being, I remember where it was teaching me or whatever, we were fighting evil. And the scene changed to all these long, they looked like shipping containers that were basically like UFO type ships that were flying around, and they were like these bays they opened up in the front and had a bunch of seats in them, and people were stored in them, and they were parked everywhere. And these aliens, they had black suits on with, I believe, a white insignia, or maybe it was red. I think it was red too. I think it was a black suit with a red insignia as well. And the suits that they had on, these were like a male race, and the suits that they had on were like spandex or some type of material like that, and they were skin tight and showed the entire form of the body, like, penis sticking out with, like custom fitted around, like the entire shape of your body. And I remember it represented some type of like, like defilement. Like it was I don't even have the word for it, the feeling. And they were going around and they were asking people that were sitting in these storage, whatever, they were asking them a question. And if the people reacted, they knew that they weren't whitewashed, that their memory hadn't been erased. And they were going around to each one and asking them some specific questions in a specific manner to see their reaction. And I remember they were coming down to me. I was sitting in this row, and they came down to me, and as they approached me, I was thinking, I can't react. If I react, they're going to know that I'm not whitewashed or whatever, and that, and they're going to white me or whatever, So they came down and asked me these questions. I went to answer the way I knew I shouldn't have. It would have alerted them, and and then as soon as in a split second, I corrected it, and did the like the rest of them, and they passed over me, and then that was the end of that one. And I got to go back to one I had 2 years ago that was even before these ones, real quickly, and just explain. I had 4 days of visions where I was there, and to make a long story short, the first day I was in the bayou with this drug addict family, and the kids were all heroin addicts, and I was riding around in this boat with them all day, just watching what they did. It was the most horrifying existence that they lived, and I was just a part of it all day. I couldn't leave. I was just there in my mind with these people, and it was just the most insane experience. So that day came and went. The next day, it was in Hollywood, and everything in Hollywood was made of gold. And everybody was trying to, like, all these little trinkets, and everything was made of gold, and everybody was trying to collect the gold and put it in a pile. And there was a stream, like this, like a fountain type stream made of like concrete. It was like smooth like this, like a basin, and it was like it just went all the way down, and there was water flowing through it, and there was gold chunks in this water, and I was in the water getting these little pieces of gold, and everybody was in the water getting these pieces of gold, and every time I got a pile of gold built up, it would disappear, and I'd go and get more and bring it back, and it would be gone. And I'd go and get more and bring it back, and it would be gone. And it was the most frustrating, relentless thing that I did all day long, and I was just there. And every time I get a pile of gold, it would disappear. And that day carried on like that. The next day, everything changed. I'm on this beach. It's in the middle of nowhere. I think it existed outside of space and time, because there was no spoken language. I didn't have a care or a worry in the world. I was content existing. I just loved everything about my existence. I was in this fashion show on the beach, and everybody was beautiful. Beautiful women, beautiful everybody. Everybody was beautiful, and they spoke a language that we understood each other. And there was all these different stations set up with all these different women and just people. And I remember just wandering through in and out of all of them, and just getting all this information, just hearing all these people, and just it was the most timeless experience I've ever had. There was no time. There was nowhere to go. I didn't have nothing to do. I wasn't worried about nothing. It was just the most peaceful. I can't even explain the feeling that it was compared to the other ones. So that day continued. The next day, I'm in this ship, and there's two people, and they look Chinese. And they have brown hair. There's a woman and a man, and they're wearing a white suit as well with a red insignia. And I'm hooked into this computer, and as I'm downloading the information of the universe into my mind, I'm uploading it into this computer at the same time, so I can go back and reference anything. And I was shown the evolution of a soul, and I watched it as it was from this one-celled, like bacteria-like organism, all the way, through all these different galaxies and planets and lives, and just constantly changing shape, forming, evolving, moving forward, different life forms, different everything, parasitic type beings, everything, things that you couldn't even fathom. And it eventually got to the human side after, all this, history, and eventually it came to the human layers. And it was shown that we're meant to have every experience that you can experience on Earth. In this lifetime, I happen to be straight, have a wife. And I don't believe that, you know, two of the same should be, you know, doing what they're doing right now. It's just crazy. But I was shown that I need to get over that and to basically transmute that into love, and that's a false belief, and that's against what I believe in as well. So to be shown that, I know it wasn't something that came. This didn't come from me. So I was also shown, you know, you're meant to that's just one example. In one life, you're meant to be this, you're meant to be that, you're meant to be this, you're meant to be that. So all these experiences finally teach you. You finally gain enough knowledge to raise your frequency, to raise your vibration, and, you know, to move through. What I eventually started doing was creating galaxies and universes, and I heard them in my mind saying these exact words, quote, he's creating new galaxies, he's creating new universes, we've never seen anybody with this much potential. And I can remember hearing this in my mind as it's taking place, and I don't mean to be, you know, explicit or whatever you want to call it, but it started from my root chakra, and I was fasting during this point in time. Fasting is, I didn't think, do it, and you'll see. Regardless, I started from my root chakra, and I could feel this vibration just surging through me, like sexual energy type energy, but it wasn't, because people have deviated sex. Sex is for reproduction. The energy that lies behind it is what we need to focus on, learning how to use our body as a conduit to channel. And I was, you know, just, you know, if there was lights, I would have been blinking like this. And I was just, in my mind, was still though, but I felt this force propelling me, like at the speed of 20 times. It was just nothing I can even put into words. And one of the lessons that I was taught as well is, I remember my girlfriend, I was able to create anything, and I just manifested just thinking it. And I was able to create anything. And I remember, you know, I had this computer program in my mind that I could tweak little things and alter reality and do all these things with, just like in a music program or something. And I remember taking my fiance's face, and, you know, I tweaked one button, and, you know, turn the nose a little bit, and then, you know, maybe raise the eyebrows, and, you know, do this with the cheeks, do this with the chin. And what I did was create this symmetrically perfect face that I didn't recognize anymore. And I was absolutely devastated. And I had the greatest feeling of loss that I could ever find. And I was trying desperately to tune her back in to the person I knew. All, you know, the imperfections and, you know, the flaws that make us us. And I was desperately trying to get back to her face, but I couldn't do it. And I was, you know, I was just sick over it. You know, like I said, profoundly just hurt. And to make a long story short, the end was a message for me. I'm not gonna, you know, divulge that, but this is, you know, what I was shown. And after this, I can attribute in 2013, in the second week in November, I was sitting doing, mixing down music, and I was looking at the back screen, realizing that that's what represents time, and the sound waves across the screen, you know, down to milliseconds, how everything, you know, has to be in sync. And as I was sitting there, I felt this energy or something. Every single one of the liquids, or my sinuses, everything just completely drained from one side to the other. And it felt like my entire body just shifted to the other side or something. I don't know how else to explain it. So as my body shifted, I just had this feeling of understanding. I'm like, eureka, I get it. I understand it all. I understand everything. It was an epiphany. It was a spiritual awakening. I don't know what to call it, but all my life I've intellectually pursued God and never found Him. And this is so much more intense and so much more intimate. I don't know how else to say it, because it's this thing that speaks through me. I don't know. But regardless, as that happened, within a few minutes I was sitting and I went to blink, and as I blinked, I had a hawk fly through my face, eye to eye, nose to nose with me. As I blinked, it just went and just flew right directly eye to eye, nose to nose, flew right through my face. And I opened my eyes and was in shock, like, oh my God, what was that? You know, I've never had anything that intense just hit me in the face while I blinked. And I thought I was going crazy. So my mom reads tarot cards and all that. I've never been into it. I've always told her I believe that affects the outcome of your reality by planting ideas subliminally, which you then focus on, change your destiny, blah, 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 blah. And I was just never into it. Black magic, you know, like, get away from me. She always tried to do readings on me, even though she's very accurate, she's very good at what she does, I just don't believe in it. So, after that, you know, I was at my mother's house for something, and for some reason I told her, I'm like, you know what, give me a reading. So she gives me a reading. She pulls a frog, three-card reading. Frog, this, that, and the third, something about intuition and the angels, and you know, the angels are going to be speaking to you, and you know, like the information of the universe is going to pour into you, and like enlightenment, and all this crazy stuff. And the other one was that I would find a shaman. A shaman would come to me and teach me. And she's like, see, a shaman, you came to me, I'm your mommy, and I'm the teacher. So I was like, yeah, whatever, you know. So after this hawk hit me in the face, I know my mom used to go on Pal Talk and talk to, you know, the metaphysical people and all the psychics, things of that nature. She had an FBI psychic detective she was friends with, just, you know, tons of stuff like that. So when this supernatural event first took place, I went to this room seeking a psychic that could explain to me what the symbolism in this was. And as soon as I typed the letters, I just had a hawk fly straight through my face. Can anybody please tell me what this means? I had a private message from a woman, and her name just so happened to be Talking Hawk to You. Talking Hawk, number 2, letter U. And she messaged me and said, that's a sign from the spirit, you know, that you're trying to get your attention. You know, you need to start listening to your ancestors. And, you know. So we started talking, and she started explaining things to me. It turns out that she was only house sitting these rich people's house up in Canada somewhere for the weekend, and she hadn't been on a computer before. They showed her how to do it, plugged her on, you know, Pal Talk to keep her busy while she was there house sitting. And it just so happened to be her first day on the computer, and you know, that's the exchange that took place. So we continued talking, and she was, you know, explaining things to me. So I start looking into shamanism, and I start seeing that shamanism is about, you know, the animal signs and what the animals have to teach you, you know, their characteristics relating to people's language. The first original language was spoken through, you know, animals and things of that nature. And I started realizing that all these pictures that were popping into my head had meaning, and I could trace them to things, and more or less that it was a language. So my first experience is I sat down on the toilet first thing in the morning, and you know, I'm doing my business, and I have a top spinning in my mind, toy top, and it's just burning in my mind's eye, just spinning. And I'm trying to think to myself, what could that possibly mean? So I started thinking along the lines as if someone was trying to talk to me and trying to create a dialogue, and if they could only speak through pictures, what would one word be that picture translates to me? And for me, a top would mean balance, because that's what it takes for a top to spin. And I started realizing how, you know, and everybody's different. Your interpretation of a top may be, you know, something completely different. Nothing is wrong. It's however you interpret it, because the spirit speaks to you in your own unique language. Whatever you see the things to be or interpret them to be. So as the day progressed, I seen echinacea in my mind. Echinacea. I had no idea what it is. It turns out to be one of the biggest exports from the United States to Germany, multiple other countries. It's a natural cure for everything they've been suppressing since the 20s. Look it up. It'll cure pretty much anything. We've proven it, and it's been suppressed from us for years. So anyway, echinacea. So all that, I go to take a shower, and as I'm in the shower, I have this quick flash vision. I believe it was something, an otter and a bear. And the bear looked at me and went to walk into this cave. And I thought to myself, whoa, what the hell does that mean? So I go out and I'm, Googling everything, looking for all these answers. And I find this, site called shamanism.com. It's a combination of all the Indians, what each animal means as your power totem and your spirit guide, things of that nature, and what they represent by their animal characteristics. And I looked up the bear and looked up, whatever else, and the gist of the message was there's going to be a tragedy that takes place, and like immediately. So I'm on the computer and I just had trains running through my mind all night. And I go to pick my fiance up from work, and she's working, and I tell her, I see, you might think I'm absolutely crazy, but a bear came to me earlier, told me there was going to be, a tragedy, and I've had trains running through my mind all night, and I think I'm going crazy. And she's like, wow, that is crazy, because, you didn't hear on the news tonight, a train flipped over in New York, and like 3 people were killed, and I was like, get the fuck out of here, are you kidding me? She's like, no, that is pretty ironic. I'm like, ironic? I'm like, that's a sign, are you kidding me? And so whatever, we go home, and I go to take a pee, and in my mind's eye again, I see what looked like a plutonium rod that you'd see on The Simpsons, glowing green. And as I'm, taking a pee, I see this in my mind, and I'm, like right there, another one. Like, what does this mean? So to me, I interpret that as toxic. So I'm trying to string these things together. Balance, echinacea, toxic. I'm like, well, it could be the painkillers that I'm taking that, the spirit's trying to tell me I'm toxic and I need to take echinacea or what it represents to cleanse myself. Cleansing. But at the same time, it was running a different course as well of synchronicities that were playing in. Because the next day, I go to my girlfriend's work again, and I'm explaining, this kid downstairs goes to the festival, he knows a little bit, and I'm explaining this all to him. I'm telling him like the bear and the train, and I went home and I'm peeing and I see the rod, plutonium rod, and I'm like, it's just, he's like, and he cut me off. He's like, wow, that is pretty crazy. He's like, I was just watching the news this morning, and there was a train heist down in Mexico, apparently, where 7 guys tried robbing plutonium off a train, and they're all in the hospital with radiation. Some of you might remember that. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me at this point. I'm like, there's no way. The bear, the train, then the train accident last night, and then plutonium rod when I go home, and then trying to steal. I'm like, there's absolutely no way. I felt like I was in Twilight Zone. This is the first time that I started really understanding the language. So, that's that. Moving on. I go home. I just wanted to give you a foundation of, this isn't bullshit. So I went home, and whatever. The next day, I just so happened to be on house arrest at this time, thanks to, the good old. So, driving without a license, and driving the Audi, and I'm flying down this river road, and I'm going to pick her up from work. And as I'm driving, I see a raven on the guardrail, and I'm trying to think, is it a raven or a crow? Because I didn't really know too close up what the difference was. So I'm trying to Google if it's a raven or a crow, and what it means, blah, blah, blah. And as I'm doing that, I go to look up at the road, and as I look at the road, on the guardrail, I see a red and blue flash. And what's your first instinct when you see a red and blue flash? Hit the brakes. So of course I hit the brakes and slow down, start assessing my environment, and I'm looking around, and all I see is a van and a car sitting on the right hand side of the road like they broke down, but nothing with a siren, nothing with lights. So I'm thinking to myself, this is really strange, but if everything's been going like it has been, there's gotta be a cop sitting up here. So I slowed down, put my seatbelt on, cautiously went up around the corner. I get about a mile up the road, sitting on a blind corner. There's an officer sitting right on the road with his radar gun. I would have flown past him, completely, double the speed limit, with no license, on house arrest. And if I didn't see that, I would, So, moving on. just a couple more events just to give you a foundation of what I'm trying to relay here. So I'm in the shower another time, washing my hair as I have my eyes closed. I see this Native American man. It's the oldest looking face I've ever seen in my life. And it's a side profile view. It's a red-skinned Native American, what you would think of an Indian, but he looked like he was outside of time old. And as I'm looking at his face, I realized that it was the color of the rainbow. And every single one of the layers of the colors looked like a rock. When you see a rock face that has the different layers in it, the different colors, that's what his face looked like. And every color of the rainbow was this rock, this old rock. And he just turned and silently, almost made a full gaze at me. And I was just floored, and I opened my eyes, shampoo and all, my eyes start burning, and I'm trying to wash it out, but I close my eyes again, and as I closed my eyes again, an angel flashed. It wasn't an angel like a picture, it was just an outline. It looked like white light, like when you look at the sun and you see the glare after you stop looking at it. It looked like the white light in the outline of an angel. And I was looking at the planets, the Earth, the Sun, every planet, everything in the solar system was all connected by this string of light. It looked like a spider web, and everything was connected by this string of light. And I was looking at, I was looking at it, but the way I came was the string of light that connected the Earth and the Sun. I was held in between the Earth and the Sun by this string of light with my arms out like Jesus. Now, as crazy as this sounds, I heard a voice speak to me, and it said, "Starseed." I don't know. It might have been Star Child. It was Star Child. It wasn't Starseed. It was Star Child. It said, "Star Child, tap into the grid. Star Child, tap into the grid." Now I swear on everything that I love in this and find holy, everything, this is legitimate. Star Child, tap into the grid. I was tethered between the sun and the earth in this spider web of light between them and the fixture that Jesus was in on the cross. And, that just completely blew me away. So, to speed things up here, for the next 2 years, I was just shown lesson after lesson. I had a vision. My mom's sister died. She had a dream that she was pulling a string out of her tooth, and the string just kept pulling, and she looked at dream interpretations, and they said that anytime you have anything to do with teeth, that represents family. Her sister died a couple days later. Came to her while she was driving, said it happened, Crow swerved at the car or whatever, and then she drove to the hospital and was the one to identify her body. So I knew from that experience that teeth represent family. So I had a dream that I'm dragging my teeth off the ground, and my teeth are all falling out. And I'm trying to talk, and I'm spitting my teeth out. I just had to get to the hospital. So I wake up like, oh my God, and I tell my cousin at that point in time, I just had this dream that my teeth were falling out. Something's going to happen to somebody in the family. I think it's Graham. So he just kind of blew it off like anybody would, like, yeah, you're crazy. So 2 hours later, he gets a phone call. His mother's in critical condition. That's my aunt, my mother's sister, her other sister. The same way the first sister spoke to my mother, the second one spoke to me, with the teeth. So he gets a phone call, your mother's in critical condition. He comes over with the most devastated look I've ever seen on anybody's face when they find that news out. And he's like, they just gave my mom 24 hours to live. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh my God. I was shocked at the fact that my aunt was about to die, and also that I seen it right beforehand, and I was shown. So she dies, and a couple months later, I'm in bed with my fiance, and I had this other dream. My teeth falling out. I had something on them, and I was trying to get it off or something, and they just kept falling out. And I woke up dead out of sleep, shook her. I'm like, I just had another dream about my teeth falling out. Somebody else is gonna die. And at this point, I knew it wasn't a game, so I was honestly, worried and scared. And she's like, oh boy, here we go, So I went back to sleep, woke up, had it again, woke her up again, told her again. Long story short, the next day, my other cousin calls me. I just want to let you know my mom's in the hospital if you want to go visit her. As soon as I heard that, I knew. And I just choked up and I was like, I don't know how to tell you this, such and such, but, or Eric, it doesn't matter. I don't know how to tell you this, Eric, but she's not going to make it, and you need to be there and give her as much love and support as you can. Don't blow this off and think that it's a joke. You need to be there with her. She needs to know you're with her. She needs to feel your love. She needs to feel your presence. And he just blew it off. So anyway, I go there, I see her, we leave, along everything's happening, and the next day, my fiance asked me, you want to go, see your aunt? I said, no, I think I'll wait till tomorrow. And as I'm sitting on the couch, my heart felt like it skipped a beat. And I looked at her and I was like, oh my God, my heart just felt like it skipped a beat. I think she just died. And she's like, well, you want to go? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, they'll call me if anything happens. So the next day comes, I'm looking on Facebook, and they didn't even call me to tell me she died when that happened, but I found out on Facebook. And point of the story is it was the second one, and these events just one after another. Now tonight I've had something all new. I mean, I could tell you a million other different things. Tonight I've had something. Synchronicity, for one, is my life. I see it before it happens. I see it in my mind, and then it's there's no lag. It's like everything's manifesting almost instantaneously. It used to take like a week for things to manifest. Now everything's just, it's almost instantaneous. It's unbelievable, and I believe the closer we get to 0 point gravity, the faster these things will manifest until we cross into another frequency or whatever, it's a lot. So anyway, I've been looking at this Mandela effect, okay? I'm sure most of you have heard of it. For one, I know my Bible's been changed. I know my Bible, Quran, Torah, Bhagavad Gita, all that stuff. I read, I have knowledge in a phoenix, like knowledge on my stomach, a phoenix rising out of it. It's been my life pursuit, and I know my Bible's been changed. Now it talks about Jesus saying, to bring his enemies to him and kill them at his feet, and drinking piss and shit, the word piss in the Bible, and how two men shall lay with another and be laying it, and one shall be taken, and one shall be taken and saved, and one shall be left behind, and two women, and the wineskins been turned into bottles, and our Father is now forgive us our debts instead of trespasses or sins. And they talk about putting money in the banks and stuff in there. They talk about Easter when they didn't even have Easter back then. It's in the King James. If anybody wants, I could attach links to verses, or you could just Google them off of what I just told you, and it'll probably come up. But regardless, I've been into this, studying it, researching, seeing if there's any validity, and there is, connected to the CERN, the whole pagan ritual, and all this stuff, and Mandela around the guy's neck, and everybody should have seen it that's researched it. So anyway, I've been pretty much mind blown for the last couple days. I've been trying to stay off the computer and fill my mind with all the bullshit with the FEMA camps, and, all the scare people that, just look around trying to, the fear mongers. So I've been, cleansing slowly but surely all the way up until now, trying to, and I was just talking about starting to fast again, and I'm trying to get in touch spiritually. Make a long story short, the other night, night before last night, me and her get in a fight. I get out and start walking. So I start walking to this graveyard. Big old graveyard. And I had a 4 local gold, with me. And I go up and I set it on a tombstone. I'm sitting there texting her, and we're fighting back and forth. And I walk over to this tombstone and I look at it, and the name on it says August. So I'm like, okay, August. That's a peculiar name for back then. And then I'm thinking to myself, I've heard that name before. August Christ. He's this leader for the Aryan Nation or something that lives in the northern part of Pennsylvania, has his compound, lawn guards and stuff. And I remember August Christ. I know that name. So I'm just just musing along, just playing this in my mind, arguing with her, whatever. So this one grave caught my eye that had a light burning in front of it. And there was several others with lights. It wasn't nothing special, but for some reason this one caught my eye. And I walked over to investigate it closer, and I noticed that the light was actually a candle. It was only like halfway burnt, and it looked like some people hadn't been there in a while. So I was just, how's this candle still burning? And down close looking at it, and it's dark, so I'm trying to read the grave. And there was a big grave in the front and behind it, and then there was a little marker grave on the bottom directly in front of the big one. And I look on this grave, and it's my fucking last name. Again, I was drawn to my last name in the graveyard. I mean, the chances of this are just absurd. I mean, for one. So as I'm looking at it, I'm reading the name. The month was August again. And I'm thinking about this what type, because I'm starting to try to put the synchronicities together, and I'm trying to look for the sign, and my phone's dead right now. So anyway, listen to how fucking, I just remembered this right now too, because I didn't even, wow. So I kept walking, the only open gate. So I walked through this one part, and I went over, and as I'm walking, I see this giant monument that is a lifelike Jesus Christ that's hung up on this cross in the middle of the graveyard. And I was like, holy shit, that's a big cross of Jesus. So I set my drink down, and I went to take a picture. I'm like, oh, my drink's in the shot, so I set it in another spot, and I backed up a little bit, put my flash on. I have an iPhone. I took a picture of this big Jesus, and it's hanging on the cross. Okay, big deal. So I keep walking, she comes, and meet her at the Waffle House, whatever, and we go home. So the reason this is significant is because I was just sitting earlier in the bedroom about an hour ago, and as I'm sitting there, I blink, and a lot of times when I'm, not focusing or thinking on things, these pictures will come through, when I'm not thinking, it's whatever. And I seen this Muslim woman with like a cowl or shell, whatever it's called, wrapped around her face, the whole black attire and everything, and she was Muslim. And I thought to myself, why would I, why would I see that? What does that mean? So I come out in the kitchen, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm sitting here running over all this stuff in my mind and trying to piece it all together. And then it hit me, and I was like, oh, one more thing. I was born on 4/4. The year adds up to 4 as well. I just did a song yesterday that's 4/4. Then, when I was reading the Bible last year, again, just to refresh, every time my eyes just kept fixing on the number 4/4. It's also not only my birthday and my birth date, but it's also my life path and my destiny. I'm a 4/4/37/4 in numerology, which is unbelievable. So I, to have this everything, this fours. So I keep seeing these dual fours, and then triple fours at some points. And I'm trying to work all these things out. And as I was standing here, I realized that 4 and 4 is 8. August is the 8th month. Then I'm trying to put these things together, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, oh my God, August. I was trying, the August Christ fella that I just said that I had heard before. August Christ. As soon as I left the August, I walked over to the statue of Christ and took a fucking picture. Everything clicked instantaneously. Call me crazy, but I honestly believe that next month, August, which in my vision that I seen the 4th of July, the fireworks turning into UFOs. I seen the fireworks, so that means around the 4th of July, which August is the month afterwards. I had the baby in my visions, and he wasn't even conceived yet. You know, all these things. And August Christ is what manifested physically in front of me with the 2 Augusts, my last name, and then I walk over to the statue and take a picture of Jesus Christ. What's the probability? And then as I sit here and think about it, I think to myself, August Christ. And it hit me. To be honest, I wasn't even thinking along those lines. What I was thinking was I was thinking about CERN, and I was thinking, how could they go back and change time? Like, how could they change our text? What mathematical formula is it? Like, how? Like, I'm trying to, and I'm like, just getting myself ready for this question to be the question of the night, pretty much, that I was going to ponder and try to divine the reason. By the way, I go by Sino Divine, my music name, and my real name has Christ in it, and just, numerous things that are just mind-blowing that I'm not even going to go through all the synchronicities and just absolutely mind-blowing facts. But point being is I wasn't even thinking about this other situation. I went to go get my drink, and that's when the August Christ connection hit me, and I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. So I got the chills instantly, my heart sunk, and I was, what do I make of that? Like, I know that the prophecy and the revelation are coming true. I know this, and I know that I am shown these signs, and I believe that I have to get this out to people. Like, this is my duty. Like, this isn't something that needs, that I should die with or whatever. This is something that you can decipher for yourself. Like, this isn't a rehearsed or scripted. Like, I'm exhausted. I've been up all night with my son. My son had high temperature, 103. We're in the hospital, emergency room, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm exhausted. I haven't slept but a half hour probably. This morning I laid down and he was up. The room was hot, so he was crying and whining. So, like, this isn't something that I put together or thought about or needed to, like, this is none of that. This is my testament. This is what has taken place for these last few years. So, August Christ, 4/4, August, everything has aligned, and everything has proven to me, August. And like I said, the trajectory from Philadelphia to the west. So if you're in the eastern, if you're at least 300 miles in off the eastern seaboard, it's the safest place to be. I don't care what anybody out there tells you. Anybody has these conspiracy videos and all this shit. These people are reciting things that they've learned. This isn't, a genuine experience that I don't get my information from where they get it from. This isn't something that, I think of. This isn't something that I even fathomed was possible. So I'm going to leave everybody to make their own deductions from this, and if it's true, which I pray it isn't, because I have 2 kids, and I'm honestly, I know there's nothing to fear because I'm strong in my faith, and I've already been shown that I will be one of the way showers. I'm not, crazy, call it what you want. I've been shown, my life is daily confirmation, just one thing after another, the most pettiest synchronicities that it's not even worth mentioning. It's just one more thing that just has added to my faith. It's just built this solid foundation that now I know. I used to doubt it. How can you not doubt it? That's why I wasn't able to harness it, because I never believed it, because it was so preposterous. And in light of all the things that have taken place, in the last couple of years, I've just, it's amazing. And if I didn't share this, I would feel like, I would be held accountable. So I was compelled to do this. I just went in and got my laptop. The first thing I did was tell her, the epiphany that I just had. And she tells me that I scare her all around, and that's not a very comforting thing to hear from. Oh, and one more thing, I meet this psychic, Kevin Baird. You can look him up. He's on Google. Amazing person, legitimate psychic. So I was one of the person that I met in this place, this pal, and he's seen what I was saying, and I was trying to explain how to be psychic to a couple people and talking to people, and he heard what I was saying, and he messaged me, and he's like, I don't ever go out of my way to message people, and I don't even go on here anymore. He's like, I'm a legitimate psychic, and this is my name, look me up, da 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 da. I used to work on the project, Men Who Stare at Goats, the movie. Well, one of those cast were me. I'm not going to tell you which one, but I was involved in that, and we should talk. So, another long story short, he asked me to appear on his psychic radio show an hour a week. We talked for an hour. His numerology is almost identical to mine. He's a 4-4 34 for something ridiculous, which the probability of that in itself is just astronomical. And among many other things, his cycles work at fours, just like mine. Oh, and I forgot to mention, my Native American, my totem, I'm a hawk. That was what the significance of the hawk was. It's just like I'm an Aries, just like there's Taurus. Natives go by your spirit animal. I'm a hawk of the wolf clan, and I've had Siberian Huskies my entire life. And when my Siberian Husky got hit by a car and broke his leg, I ended up going to jail the next day, taking him to the hospital, which broken legs, it's all symbolic, but it's crazy, but it's it is what it is. So anyway, we start talking, and in the middle of the conversation, I'm explaining all these crazy powers and this shit that's been happening to me. And he, just laughing. He's like, Spirit gave you a heavy dose. So, you're being shown for a reason. You got to figure out what the purpose is. So anyway, in the middle of this, we're talking. He tells me, you better hang up the phone because your girlfriend's gonna come in and say that you're a different person and she doesn't even know you anymore. And you better go start spending time with her and really show her that you care. And I was like. As soon as I went to respond, she walked in the room and said that word for word, starts freaking out on me, and he's like, bye. And I hung up the phone, and I went, instead of going in and leaving, the first thing I said to her was like, wait, stop. The guy that I was just on the phone with just said that you were going to come in here and do and say everything that you just did, and he's a psychic. How the fuck, how did he know that? Like, that is... I was mind blown, and she's like, I don't give a fuck about him, you're this crazy shit all the time. So, needless to say, and this is just what it is. So, the Bible, one verse was changed to the wolf in the lamb. The wolf is... you don't even understand like the things that have just been directly synchronized to me like personally, like, so there's I'm not trying to come on here like I'm the all-saving prophet, I'm gonna save you, but if you hear the things that I just told you and you have any type of intuition or screw logic, because logic really not gotten me far until I learned how to shut it off and use my intuition, empathy, things of that nature. But regardless, decipher this for yourself. This language speaks like hieroglyphics. It's pictures, and you got to use each picture represents a word. And then once you get a series, of pictures, you string them together and you look at what you got. And it's not a vague, message like the prophecies would be or something. It's specific. And, like the other day we were sitting up in my studio and, I want to do this music thing. I want to, make money, whatever. So I'm sitting there, I have my buddy over and we're producing this track. Amazing songs. Go on and check it out. But the song is called One. All Lives Matter. And as I'm sitting there making it, he's telling me about our music was playing on the radio, and this A&R contacted him from Wonderland Records. They wanted music and da 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 da, and they're interested. So, we went and, held up for 3 days in the studio to get these tracks done and send in to them. And as I'm sitting there, I see a locust in my mind. And I look at him, I'm like, holy shit, I just seen a locust. So I'm like, that's crazy. I'm gonna look up the meaning. So I look up the meaning of locust and go on shamanism, shamanic journey, any of them. Look up the meaning of the locust. And it says, that the locust appear, you're going to be taking sudden jumps forward, sudden leaps forward, that their music, their vibration, like just all this crazy shit, the luck and this, that, and the third. It's a very positive sign, apparently. I thought it was going to be negative. So it's, all these things that, like, it basically, I thought I was going to get signed to fucking Atlantic Records, that night. So, that happens. Then I go in my other son's bedroom, and I'm just standing there, and my attention's drawn to this VHS movie, Alice in Wonderland, the old one, the VHS. So I look at Alice in Wonderland, and I read it, and I see Wonderland. I'm like, get out of here. The name of this alleged label was Wonderland through Atlantic. So I'm like, I tell him, I'm like, look at Wonderland. I just looked at Alice in Wonderland, the locust, da da da. This is meant to be. We're getting signed. Well, unfortunately, the funny thing about material things and wanting, for gain, all these things, is that when you try to manifest it and make it happen, it doesn't. And it turned out it was a scam, and the guy from Wonderland, who called him several times, tried FaceTiming and hung up on us, and then finally I was like, this is a scam. He was trying to get us to Western Union, a $140 enrollment fee so he could send us the contract. So that's just the truth. That's what happened. So, this kid's devastated, and I was just like, I had a feeling, but I'm like, but still, I still know I seen this locust, and I still know I seen, the Wonderland with two synchronicities there, and this locust thing was about music. So at that point in time, I was trying to fit these pieces in and understand, I'm like, that's my sign, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna be rich, famous. So, whatever, boom, that's what happened. And then it wasn't until, a day or two ago that I started thinking, the same person, I was running this Mandela effect on everything, and I'm like, and that's crazy, that, we were talking about that situation, but it's still crazy. I know I seen a locust, I'm like, and then, just whatever. So, then I started thinking, a locust. Where else have I heard locust? Revelation. The fucking locust came to me. It didn't fit in with what I wanted it to fit in with. It fit in with the rest of the messages that I hadn't gotten yet. So I had, at that point in time, I hadn't been here to get the messages that I had to know what it was in reference to. So therefore, I was trying to fit it into what I wanted it to be. And it wasn't. But, that's what it is. And the whole Wonderland, okay, so where is that, Going down the hole, Alice. The hole, the fucking hole. The black hole, whatever you want to call it, it represents a transition, it's to another world. Like, it's unbelievable when now that I have the right pieces and I put them together. So, that being said, like I said originally, please do not laugh this off as something that I just made this, because this is an award-winning story, if so, and, it's, right now it's July 16th, 3:28 a.m., 2016, so, this is just what has taken place, and I'll leave you to make your own decisions. But I personally I wouldn't be so bold as to say something that's going to happen next month if I was going to make a prophecy. I wouldn't do that. I would say, yeah, in a year, that way hopefully people forget about it. If it happens, I can be like, yeah, I told you, and if it doesn't, hopefully they forgot about it, I'm telling you right now, with all these signs and everything, I believe that, Christ is what kept, August, Christ, the second coming, the return, whether it's, the Pleiadians or, the race of gods or whatever you want to call them, whether it's, disclosure or they just outright come here and start, teaching us and dividing us and, from some, impact that's going to take place or whatever. I don't know. I haven't been shown that. Well, I have been shown that. That was in the first ones, but I haven't really looked for, I guess, that the chain of events, which I'm going to be. If you ask, he who seeks, knock on the door. So I will follow this, within the next couple of days with a follow-up on, keep you updated on any messages or news that I receive. And that's how it's become, is a news source for me, which is outrageous, because as a kid I used to always think, how are people psychic? How is it possible? It's just so fascinating and amazing. How is it possible? How could people possibly do that? And it wasn't until I became that I understood it and how simple it really is, but yet it's so simple that everybody overlooks it. And it's crazy, but I'm very good. They say geniuses are determined by their ability to recognize patterns and things of that nature. I'm not claiming to be a genius, but I'm a genius, and I recognize patterns. And I recognize patterns in behavior in myself. And I've always, been trying to push for, moving objects with my, chi type. I'm a weirdo. But that's me. And I know that these things are possible, and I just had to be able to tap into them. So, without using perverted, energy that comes from our root, I mean, this is a lot for now. We'll, in my next video that I'll upload with the updates, I'll cover a couple things in detail. But for right now, I believe that's enough to leave you sitting with and pondering. So I just would like some feedback. If anybody else has been getting this, if anybody else has seen anything that may connect with this, it's just absolutely mind blowing. But it's the truth, and that's what it is. So next month, I wasn't given a day. I mean, there's other things, and I didn't try to even decipher a day yet. I just, like I said, came and got the computer as soon as this hit me and recorded it while I still had the ambition to. Because if I would have sat around and said I'll do it later, I never would have did it, and then this never would have got out to people. I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. I've started videos, a couple times just to explain the background, just to, basically start a dialogue with people about, the whole psychic stuff and everything, and, just to try to find people that are maybe similar like me. But, this is what it is, and I'm going to quit rambling at this point. I'm talking for apparently an hour, and I'm exhausted, so, feedback, please, and let me know what you guys think, and I'll be uploading some more stuff here soon. Alright, I just had to update the one part where I was talking about the return of Christ and the Son. There's an ancient statue that I'm sure everybody knows of. It's the oldest known statue in the world, I guess. It's the pyramid, the same exact pyramid that's on the dollar bill. It's got the 13 different levels and the eye on top, the all-seeing eye, and on the bottom of this pyramid it has the constellation of Orion, and it says, "The sun shall return," or "the sun returns." The translation. And it occurred to me that this whole return of Jesus, all this whole August, this date I just found out was on the Georgia Guidestones. So you need to look up the correlation between the 8/14 and 8/16 dates on the Georgia Guidestone. I didn't even know I made the video that you previously just watched like a month and a half ago maybe. I
pretty sure I put in there the dates of the 14th, and my spirit guides. I put it up online, tried to post it everywhere. My spirit guides told me to take it down. I hadn't received the rest of the message yet. I jumped the gun. Now I have the rest of the message. The rest of the puzzle is fitting together. I just now came across this, Georgia Guidestones is the username on YouTube. Posted this video breaking down all the numerology. It's amazing. All the correlations between the 4 and 4 that I keep saying that I've seen. Everything. And the date on here is the 14th through the 16th of August. The same exact dates that I came up with. 4 and 4 equals 8 August. Everything that I went through. And now I come to find out that this whole Nibiru star system. I mean, it's not even Nibiru. It's Nemesis. The Nemesis star system. Binary twin to our star, or the sun of our sun, or the smaller sun, or the sun that shall return, or all these things that are in correlation to Christ, the sun, the rising of the energy. It's painfully aware to me now what I've been shown this whole time, and I never understood it until now. All the pieces finally have come together. I'm gonna keep this very short, people. I mean, something major is taking place, and I just pray that everybody, And one more thing I forgot to say is that the date on the gravestone, when I was in the graveyard, when it went from August to my last name to Christ, and I don't even know what's all that. The date on the stone was 8/14. It was August 14th. Mind blowing. I just wanted to be clear. I'm not implying that a planet is going to hit us, but like I said in my vision, when I seen the snake that split the screen in half, and there were soldiers in the clearing, and I believe that there's definitely going to be something, the outbreak of war, the extraterrestrial factor, whether they intervene, whether they're the ones that save us or cause a rapture or whatever. Definitely, the son of the Creator returns. The son of the Creator. That's what the oldest known relic that has been found has been translated to say before Sanskrit. And there's no way that all these things are coincidences. And if you think that all these things I just went through are just random occurrences, all the synchronicities, everything are just coincidental, then you need to pull your head out, because this is as hard to believe as this is. I was a normal person until this all started happening. I'm in my bed right now. My baby's sleeping. My wife's out in the kitchen, and I'm in here doing this because I care. The people aren't caught off guard by this. I'm not trying to scare anybody. There's nothing to fear. Everything happens for a reason, and this is all part of the plan. We've known this has been coming. Everybody. It's been forewritten. It's just, it's here now, and I just pray for the children, my children. And I pray that people have a plan, and God bless us, because these next coming months are going to be tribulation.